Well, ladies and gentlemen, at least you can give me a big round of applause with the remaining energy, because we have one of the biggest speakers here joining us for this very important fireside chat. So, Mr. Anshuman, when we speak of bank credit that you believe is tightening for real estate, and what regulatory and also risk appetite and balance sheet dynamics do you believe that seems to be driving the shift to alternate lenders, sir?
See, the fact is, historically, the banks and financial institutions did not lend to real estate industry. Real estate was seen as high risk. Land acquisitions were complicated. Regulatory framework was not really in place. So we didn't see traditional banks lending to real estate industry. But over the period of time, as regulation has improved, if you look at RERA, you look at the insolvency laws, that has led to a bit more confidence in the real estate industry. Also, the real estate industry has really expanded, and it has done well. So if you look at last 10 years, the commercial real estate has really picked up, residential has expanded, industrial, retail. So all this put together has led to banks lending more. However, the demand for capital is much larger than what the traditional banks were financing. And that has led to private credit coming into the marketplace, which means these are AIFs, there are NBFCs, there's sovereign wealth funds, pension funds, private equity, both international and domestic. There is family offices. So all that put together, the investment coming in, the financing happening in real estate has really shifted. And I think one big shift is, first of all, 50% of the funding going is domestic money. That's one. Second is that the private credit has increased. And I have some stats I wanted to share with you. In fact, there was a lot of stats, but I will just pick up. So, for example, AIFs, last year alone, they put in 73,000 crores of investment in real estate, which was negligible before. And if you look at NBFCs, they are also, I think they put 1 lakh crore rupees into real estate. And these were not there before. And if I look at 2015, banks funded real estate. The percentage of real estate funding by banks was 60 to 65%. NBFCs were 25 to 30%, and others was less than 10%. By 2025, in 10 years, there's a big shift where banks are now 30 to 35% contributors to financing in real estate, and NBFCs are 20 to 25%. And if you look at other private credit, it's 40%. So from 10%, it's really almost 50 to 60% of the financing real estate now is private credit.
So when we speak of private credit, sir, the rise of that in real estate, who are the players, sir? And what do they want? And how did they deal with these structures?
So like I mentioned, it started with the non-banking financial corruption, NBFCs. And it moved on. Also, what we have seen, I mentioned AIF, they are big family offices, but also we have seen international sovereign wealth funds like ADIA is a big player. We've seen international pension funds. Canadians are big players there. We've seen Indian, of course, not enough, but insurance sector. And that's how internationally the real estate is funded. What is also interesting is the money coming from outside is primarily led by 3 countries, and the largest contributors are Singapore. So if I look at the international funding in, if I look at the total funding in real estate in India, 25% is from international funds. And out of that, Singaporeans have the largest share, and then it's the US and Canadian firms who are putting in the money.
So India, how far behind are we?
No. What I'm saying is that India actually, I think we need more capital. There's a large appetite of capital, and we do need to take steps to attract more foreign capital, one, and second is expand the sources of funding for real estate domestically. There is still our insurance sector, our pension funds, and our own institutions can expand and invest more in real estate.
So when we speak of real estate investment trust and also infrastructure investment trust, what do you believe as a liquidity and exit pathway? Whether there's some markets that stand as of today, as which asset classes and developer profiles seem to be best positioned for this?
So what is happening is that, first of all, you mentioned about REIT, real estate investment trust. That's another reason why more investment is coming to real estate, because anybody investing, one of the first things they of course see return on investment, but what is very crucial is how to exit. So in the past there weren't enough exit options for real estate. REIT structures means that someone who puts in money can exit by selling to a REIT. So plus a lot of developers are listing now, so we are listed players in real estate. And all of this REIT structure listings, what it does is brings in more transparency, because they have to, so there's more information, more transparency, and that leads to more investment coming in. The asset, you mentioned the asset classes, no doubt residential is still the largest sector, but what has been a game changer is the office market, the commercial real estate. As you know, last year alone, 90 plus million square feet of office leasing took place. I think, sorry, not 90, it was 81.5 million square feet of office leasing took place in India, 79 million previous years. So one of the highest rates of office commercial space take-up in the world is in India now. And that means, and these are largely multinational players, corporates. And then with the REIT structure itself, this office sector has been attracting a lot of capital. Is a major one, but also industrial, especially warehousing. What we will see going forward, data centers, I think it's still at a nascent stage. You already would have heard billions of dollars are committed, but going forward, data centers will be a big area for investment to come in real estate, hotels, education, healthcare sector, all of them are going to be quite large.
So we're going to be looking forward to that. But when we speak of the offshore capital flows as well, Mr. Anshuman, family offices, sovereign wealth funds, and global PE, what unlocks their appetite for real estate exposure?
Sorry, I didn't get the question, sir.
So when we speak of offshore capital flows,
Yep.
what are we looking at, at their appetite for Indian real estate exposure?
See, to be honest, we have seen quite a bit of investment coming, but not enough. Personally, I feel we can attract more capital. We have all the right fundamentals for that. For example, if you look at office yields in India, if we say the office cap rates are from 7.5% to 8.5% maximum. In Singapore, it is 3 to 3.5%. In Tokyo, it's 2 to 3%. So we do have that return to attract capital. And again, in commercial real estate, we have the proper large blue chip companies who are occupiers. The quality of office space is improved. We also need more foreign capital, of course, in other segments, like I mentioned. So we are getting foreign capital, but we really need to take steps to attract more funds. We're not getting enough for the country of our size, with India being one of the fastest growing large economies. The investments from outside can increase.
So when we talk about, when we wrap up this conversation and the current situation, what do you believe are the implications of this shift to alternate financing? How does it impact small versus large real estate developers, sir?
No, certainly it impacts positively the small developers, because they have now, many years back, like I mentioned, there was no funding, institutional funding, which they could access, to banks lending to them to some extent. But now with private credit, it really is positive for smaller players, because they have a larger choice of financing their projects, which they didn't have before.
All All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Magazine, for joining us here
Thank
on
you.
the broadcast. And of course, when we speak of real estate financing, this has been an insightful conversation as we've talked about the very core issue while shift from banks and now to alternatives. Thank you very much, Anshuman
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you.
And may I have the honor in presenting you the token of our appreciation, please. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause. Thank you very much once again for your cooperation.